There are legends of people born with the gift of making music so true it can pierce the veil between life and death, conjuring spirits from the past.
Somebody take me.
And how about that amazing dancing and music in Sinners by Ryan Coogler? Welcome to episode number 3 of the
Long Take Podcast
by Cicada Studios.
It's so important to make something. The Long Take Podcast, a podcast by indie filmmakers digging into the art, technique, and realities of making movies outside the system. Enjoy the ride. Welcome, everybody. As you see, we finally have our missing colleague, Ervis.
He made it.
Yeah, guys. Finally, I made it. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, hopefully you're going to be on this more often. But why don't you tell the audience a bit about yourself, like your background, what you're doing, how you got into film. We've already done this, so it's your turn.
Yeah, well, I'm Ervis. I'm from Greece. I'm a filmmaker. I have made 3 short films here in Berlin. And yeah, I'm also part of Cicada Studio and this big, nice family.
Yeah, award-winning filmmaker. I think every single one of your 3 films have won some kind of award.
Yeah, I mean, there was a hesitation that was won the best audience favorite movie for Filmmakers and Movienerds screening.
2023 or when was that?
That was in 2024.
Yeah, last year.
2024.
Yeah, last year.
and also award-winning cinematographer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He won the best cinematography at the 72-hour film sprint, where our film won the best audience, just saying.
Yeah, but you know, to be fair, every day Ervis was helping us with our film, gripping, ADing, everything. And then at night he makes his film and still wins an award. What the fuck?
Yeah. He was the gaffer at our movie, and he still made like a second movie in the 72 hours and managed to win an award as well. So technically you won like 2 awards in 1 weekend.
Yeah, technically. But I mean, I would say gaffer, AD, he even acted. Remember, he was the homeless person.
Guy.
Yeah.
Not to forget the sound recordist as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually the sound came out perfect. Tom was a hater of booming. Felt like every movie needed to be ADR until after you did that sound, and it was perfect. We did 0 ADR and it sounded great.
Yeah. I mean, you're over-exaggerating. I didn't say that any movie needs ADR. But okay. Yeah. What was your first movie you've ever done?
So my first movie was The Pantry, which was shot in 2023. And yeah, that was something that I wrote, direct, and produced. And
That was your first movie ever?
that was my first like narrative short film. I mean, making videos, like I have made some music videos, some video clips, and yeah, some advertising, small ads. But like narrative and as a director, that was my first one. Yeah. The
Interesting,
Pantry.
guys. Interesting, because that film, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's also the film that made like 81,000 views on your YouTube channel.
Yes, and I don't know, it's like extremely likes. Like, I don't know, once in a while it happens that, because also like when I post this film, my YouTube channel had only 7 subscribers.
Wow.
And that was maybe half of them was my family or something. So like to go to 7 subscribers to like having 81,000, I mean, it's a good step for me personally. Yeah,
That's a good step up.
Insane. And did you come to Berlin just to make short films, or what? Why'd you come here?
that's a good question. Well, I came to Berlin.
The beamer just turned off,
The
guys.
perfect setup we have going on here. It's been a bit of a day to get this set up today, but anyway, sorry.
we can fix it.
No,
we
it's
just
okay.
we just
Yeah,
leave
we
it off.
just go.
Doesn't
All right.
matter.
So I came to Berlin in 2019, late 2019, just a little bit before COVID. And yeah, I came as photographer because back in Greece, I used to do photography. not as living, but like for weddings here and there. Like I had this friend who was doing weddings, and I would support him as a second photographer. And then there was my friend Kiveli, and she's like half German, half Greek, and she saw that I wanted to really move from Greece, because I really wanted, to be honest, like the possibilities that you can have here in Berlin are very big. So yeah, I decided that I'm moving from Greece, so I came here to Berlin for that reason. But then slowly I had some gigs for like videos, and that started cutting me, feeling, like, oh, actually video is also very, very interesting, So yeah, and then after that, slowly, like 2020, 21, I would say mostly, I start videos and then narratives and so on. Yeah.
Nice. And how did you get connected with us all and get your first movie made?
Through Filmmaking and Movienerds.
Yeah. Once again,
one of the best film communities in Berlin, I would say. It's very passionate community with a lot of new filmmakers, people, also experienced filmmakers, but people who just are starting now. And I highly recommend to everyone who is watching this video, listen to the podcast, that if you're in Berlin, at least once go in. They do every Sunday, which is amazing also, right? Like it's every Sunday you can go there. So it's no excuse to lose it. If you cannot one Sunday, you go to the next one. And yeah, that's the way how we met.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's connected us all, actually. And they have a Rome chapter, and hopefully maybe somebody listening to this will want to start a chapter in California, where I come from, maybe LA or San Francisco.
Cali.
That would be amazing. But yeah, you can check out movienerds.com to learn more. And yeah, I think this is one of the valuable lessons we talked about in our last podcast, was just how important having a community is. So I'm glad to see that we all got connected from this filmmaking community. And yeah, it's just amazing how important a community is into making a film.
Yeah. I would say this time, let's not forget that we had a movie intro. Let's talk a bit about Sinners.
I was trying to segue into that, because I was going to say that, the composer for Sinners, Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler, they all worked together on Fruitvale. And in fact, Michael B. Jordan went to USC Film School with the composer Ludwig. And yeah, I mean, I think you see a lot of people that come, even, Wes Anderson, he also kind of came with the same crew. And I think, being able to take your friend somewhere and then build a career out of a movie is very important. I think Sinners has done that quite well. I think Ryan Coogler has been just incredible rise from, one film. Well, he's had some really impressive shorts, but going from one film to doing Black Panther to now doing The Sinners and getting the kind of deal he got, it's just insane.
Now he wants the 100% of the film, or 75, something like that.
I'm sorry.
The percentage of the film he owns, like the rights of the film.
Yeah, so he gets so the deal he negotiated was pretty cool. He gets first money in. He gets a cut of the gross first money in, which means, basically after the box office takes their cut, the movie that the money that comes in the studio, he's getting a cut of that, because most people get it after the expenses, and usually the studios, take a lot of expense. And number two, and I think this is a lot about what his film was about, was the fact that he gets the rights reverted back to him after, I think, 12 years, which is pretty impressive. And he also got, final cut. So he's just been able to get everything he wants. And in the movie, I think, as an American, I think there's a lot of, metaphors and a lot about the times and history of the slavery in America. But at the time, if you think about it, and this movie's inspired a lot by music, a lot of Black artists actually invented music. Like if you think about it, invented blues, invented rap, invented a lot of music in America, was kind of taken over by, white people in executives or power positions, and kind of made their own, or at least all the profits of those labors went to kind of, the record labels and studios and stuff. And so his movie is sort of a testament to that.
I agree. Yeah, it was a great movie. For me personally, you're always talking about the metaphors that the movie had, and I felt a bit like maybe it's too much based upon that. I had the feeling that the underlying story could be a bit better, but it had so many hidden references to American culture that me as a German, or that I as a German person can barely understand. That it was pretty impressive in that sense. I would say it's one of these artsy movies that actually is artsy and it's making a lot of sense. So yeah, but it was a bit of a trade-off, I felt like.
Yeah, for sure. I think he made a personal movie. I mean, he made a film, wrote it himself about something that was important to him. So I think that came through. Also, I think you see the numbers, the rewatch or the drop of box office month or week to week is actually incredibly positive. I mean, it is holding tight. People are continuing to watch it. But when you look at the data, in Europe, it is a little bit less than, it's quite a bit less than America. And I think that's why. By the way, if you wonder where I get all these data, there's a fantastic website by Stephen Fellows. He does a lot of number crunching for the film industry, and it's just an amazing source of data. If you ever want to know about how marketing works, how it doesn't, he does surveys, he does, data analysis, all kinds of stuff. I think every indie filmmaker should be all over that to learn and understand where the market's going and, what these sales and distributors need from you and how marketing is changing over time. So highly recommend that.
So is Sinners considered a financial success yet? Or is
Yes, it has made more than its money back.
Already? Wow.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's already made 400 or surpassed 400 million.
What was the budget?
I should go look it up, but I believe the budget was, when you put in marketing and everything, I think it was somewhere around 180, but I'm not 100% sure actually. I could be totally wrong on that one.
That's huge actually, because it's unusual these days to get a budget that big for a movie that is not based on existing IP, some superhero movies or existing IP like Dune. So it's great to see that movies that are original is getting this kind of budget, and also giving the director free rein to shoot it in whatever format he wants to shoot, and tell the story the way he wants to, which is great.
Yeah, I'm always wondering what that is actually saying about the state of the industry, especially in America and in Hollywood, because it either means that people recognize that generic stories are not really selling anymore, or it means the complete opposite, that they are like somehow need to make money, and it's a desperate try to somehow get a good film again,
Yeah, so Sinners did 338 million so far.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I'll come back with the actual budget, but I believe it was with marketing somewhere around 180. But I think, to your point, nobody makes original films. Like big studios seem to only invest in known quantity, and I think it's a complete burnout everybody's having. Like we talked about this all the time, but
statistically it made sense for a long time, but maybe now it's over,
Yeah.
Maybe it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to see generic shit anymore.
Although Lilo and Stitch is doing quite well. It's doing really good for Disney. It's made its money back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like the third largest grossing film for Disney. Live action grossing film for Disney.
Wow.
Talking about live action, I'm looking forward to How to Train a Dragon.
The
live action version.
Okay.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
Best soundtrack ever.
Is that a sequel or a reboot?
It's a reboot, I think.
Reboot, yeah, but I think it's exactly like the original movie, but just live action.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard though. It's like the characters are so good. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward. I love this story, and it has the best score ever by John Paul, I think is the name. Wow, such a great score.
Yeah, I'm surprised that in Sinners you didn't bring up. Ryan Coogler did this amazing YouTube video about all the different aspect ratios and stuff that they use in the film, from like 70 millimeter IMAX to 2:4:1. I think it was pretty crazy. All the crazy different formats he used, and he basically made it a multi-format movie. And kind of surprised. And we saw it on the Cinema X, where the screens come on the side.
I hate that.
I'll never go again.
I'm getting so motion sick by that.
Yeah, but it's it only goes on the side in certain scenes and different things, and it's interesting that certain scenes, the aspect ratio gets tall or goes wide. But he has an excellent YouTube video. If you're ever wondering about all these different aspect ratios and things like that, it's fantastic. You should look.
Yeah,
it
I
up.
think it's on the Kodak official channel, and it's a very good educational video, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you like the movie?
I kind of have fun, to be honest. I really like the movie. Yeah, as Chris was saying, that I agree. Like, I think the movie was a little bit directed to a specific audience, or at least like to more like Western world than Europe. So yeah, I was a little bit in the beginning confused to understand the story or to like catch every element because of that. But because after the movie, we had a bit of discussion, Chris, and I remember you was telling me, like it's all about also black people and slaves and everything. So then some things kind of in my mind like start connecting. Besides that, I think the movie is really good and the director did a very good job. And you can see that it's something that have been it's part of him. So it's like written director by him, like you can see that, and I really love that. Cinematography wise, I don't know. I'll be honest, like I really didn't went so crazy about cinematography. Especially was some moments that there was like not overexposure, but like it was too dark for me, I don't know if it was contrast. I don't know. Like we watched together, right, on the Screen X. So it was like sometimes opening the screens on the side, which was quite interesting experience that. But I also will agree with you. I'm not sure if I go again for that, to pay extra money for just like 3 minutes every 20 minutes to just turn 2 more extra screens. But yeah, I remember like there was some scenes, especially wide shots, that I didn't really engage so much with cinematography.
Yeah, I mean, it also had this typical digital look, I felt like. Still looks great, but it doesn't look like film so much.
I don't know if it's that because of camera wise, right? Because they use the Panasonic, I think, to shoot and the IMAX. So do you think, because obviously one is not digital, they're both film, right?
Wait, they're both?
Yeah.
It's a shot on film.
Yeah.
It's
Because
entirely
it
shot
doesn't
on
really
film.
look like it to me.
Yeah.
Looks really digital. Maybe it's a color grading. I don't know.
Could be in the theater, the Cinema X. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, except that, I love the music, like
Yeah.
the theme, the main music, especially like the way how they interpreted all the culture, right, together, and brought all this music together to create this music. And then visually, I think that was also very challenging, right? There was one shot, the whole thing. I mean, there was, I think, some like cats there, but I think it's really amazing the way that they shot the whole thing.
Yeah, it was technically a Warner, but I assume there were cuts.
Oh, I didn't notice. I didn't realize that they tried to make it a Warner. Actually, I should go back and
You don't
watch it
remember?
with that perspective now.
Are we talking from a...
Or
from
you're talking
dancing
about
screen?
the
About
dance scene.
Yeah, the
I'm
dance.
talking
Oh
about
yeah, the dance scene is
Dancing,
it's amazing.
That was one shot. No, I'm not talking about the whole film. So
yeah, okay. I was about to
I'm just
say.
talking about that specific scene where the music.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's good. I think the other thing I really like is Michael B. Jordan. I think it's his best role. Like I really like that he played twins and the nuances between the two twins. I felt like he kind of had a pretty sort of common character that he played, with Creed and Black Panther and stuff. And so I like to see him in this role is really good. And again, I think it's pretty amazing that all of these folks, like, Ryan Coogler he was a football scholar. He was on a scholarship for football, and he had to take this writing class, and he wrote something, and his teacher recognized how impressive this writing was and convinced him to do it. And he liked writing, and so this is how he got his career. And I think his dad was maybe a little disappointed at first, but then, look at him now. And so again, I think it's amazing. He took this passion and turned it into his profession, and I think that's what we're here to talk about today. Is if you want to be a filmmaker, how can you actually be making films and working on cinema or videography or acting or directing or whatever it is? How can you do that every day? And, I think that's kind of what we want to touch on, why we're here, and why we have this studio, Cicada Studios, the previous sign that you saw up on the back wall. How are we trying to take our passions and make it our careers? So, yeah, maybe we could talk a little bit about our backgrounds and, how we got into film and, what your vision is of Cicada and what we're trying to do here. Who wants to go first?
I can start if you guys want. I'm not sure if I ever said it in one of the first 2 episodes, but I have been a social worker for 5 years, and I was doing it mostly on the side. And I think for a lot of people, the path to filmmaking career or getting a famous filmmaker, ideally, will always be having a second job first, because it's very unlikely that you will make enough money in the beginning without doing stuff you don't really want to do. I think that's the biggest problem, that you really don't want to invest into a direction that you don't want to go in. Because in filmmaking, everything is a bubble. If you do wedding photography or wedding videos, you will only do wedding videos. Even in commercial work, people told me that if you are into commercials, that doesn't mean that you can do every commercial you want. That just means that you can do the commercial that you already proved that you can do it. So if you are a car filmmaker, you can only do car commercials. If you are into food, if you have like food stuff in your reel, you can only do food commercials. So it's tough navigating. I feel like it's especially in the beginning, you have to do a lot just to learn. I think, first of all, starting out doing everything is not really a problem, but sometime in your career, I think you have to decide what you really want to do and have to reject all the other offers, which is a tough thing to do. I still struggle with that, I would say. Because who has really found out what they want to do? You maybe. You want to do a feature film. I also want to do a feature film, but I also want to try a documentary. So I don't know.
I think documentary, any kind of feature. I think my take is, look, I've been an entrepreneur. I've been programming since I was 9. I'm a tech person, just like Renja here. And I've always had a passion for film. I've, watched films ever since I was young. Like I said before, it was a big part of my family's life. And then I made some films. And then back in 2013, I started a company, a wearable baby monitor company, and did a commercial there. And I felt like content was really important. Even back then, I felt like content was going towards video, was going towards, high, well-designed, content like magazines, digital magazines and stuff. And so ever since then, I was starting to take on more and more of that responsibility of the content marketing stuff so that I could be working on something that I cared about, also building a company that I have expertise in. And then, fast forward to today, I've had this opportunity to take, a business that was in blockchain doing pretty well, but couldn't get any more funding. And now getting the opportunity to sort of pivot it into something that I'm passionate about. And I think all entrepreneurs usually end up being successful if they're working on something they care about and it's scratching their own itch. And for me, the Cicada Studios and the stuff that we're doing with the production management software and stuff like that are all scratching my own itch. It's all solving problems that I've had over the course of doing content and, wanting to create something. And, my goal is I want to open a studio in Portugal because it's very much like California. And I want to make films that cost a lot less than it costs in the United States, because I'm tired of the quality of films. I used to go to the movies and used to see these great films, had lower budgets, and now we just kind of, no movie is good unless they spend $200 million on it. It just seems ridiculous. And I think right now is a vacuum of good quality films. And I think it's anytime, Hollywood's on fire and nobody's working there and the United States is cooked in terms of the filmmaking market, I think that's a perfect time to actually try and start something new and do something innovative. So we'll see. But we could crash and burn, but at least we're trying to do something that we like. And so it's kind of funny because, you kind of get pigeonholed if you do a lot of film on cars, you get pigeonholed as like an auto filmmaker. But I'd rather be pigeonholed making some kind of film than, doing what I was just coding 24/7 or whatever. And so it's like, social work or car commercials. At least you're still working with a camera. You're still learning. Every time you're behind the camera and you're doing something, I think you're improving your skills all around the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question that we have to answer for ourselves. Do we want to have a part-time job and at the same time do only our passion projects, and by that also focusing on one specific area of filmmaking? Or do we want to make the trade-off and do stuff we don't necessarily want to do, but learn, and then still have enough energy for the passion projects? Because that's also hard. If you do filmmaking 7 days a week, maybe you want to do something else sometimes, I'm not sure. What's your thought about that? Because I know that you have like more middle A.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. It's like filmmaking, as every other art platform, it's very hard. So you have to do that extra job or have that extra gig or have the German word mini job, have that extra mini job to pay the bills. And yeah, same for me. Like I'm doing this event technician, like I'm an event technician. So I am also often out of Berlin for festivals. And I mean, I like the job, but yeah, to be honest, like if I had the opportunity to choose that or being full-time filmmaker and have the opportunity to be on the set all the time and get paid for that would be amazing. But that's not impossible, of course, also, right? Like there is a journey which you have to follow, I think. And yeah, I guess I am on that journey right now to try to figure it out, how I can do filmmaking as a living. And of course, like that's why I'm trying with you guys in Cicada Studios to create this studio to make films every day or videos and make that for living. Yeah.
For me, right now, I am a software engineer, so I'm lucky to have a job that is paying well. But eventually, I would like to switch completely to filmmaking if that's possible. Now, what kind of filmmaking? I don't know. But hopefully something that I'm passionate about. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm passionate about car commercials. I have no idea. But right now, if you ask me, if you want to shoot a car commercial, yeah, let's do it. But I would say as part of the studio, I hope we get to do different kinds of things and learn from them, because everything at the end of the day is said, like, how do you tell a message? How do you, like, be it commercials, corporate video, how do you convey a message through the medium of video, audio, lighting? How do you convey a message? The brands wants to send a message. How do you help them do that? It's the same principles that you apply to a feature film. Like the director wants to tell a story. How do you do that? So hopefully by doing a bunch of different things, we practice the art. And then when the opportunity strikes, when we have the opportunity to make a feature film that is we are passionate about, but not like, paying that much, we can jump in and do that for the sake of the art. And if we end up making a film production studio in Portugal and we can entertain people with good quality storytelling without that much budget, okay, that would be the how do you say, like in coffee you say third wave coffee, but like this is a different wave of movie making outside of Hollywood. That would be super cool to be part of.
Yeah, exactly. And making the things that we want. But I think more important is like, how are we doing this? Like, how did we do this? In Germany, it's a lot more bureaucratic to start a company here.
Yeah.
In the United States, it's very easy. You can start a company for next to nothing. And so, the first step for us was, okay, let's start a company. Let's get an entity that says we're a studio. Okay. First thing that we did. Unfortunately, it's a little pricey in Germany, but we were able to do it. Actually, I would say even before starting a company is get a group of serious friends and colleagues together that want to work on it, and even cast a wide net. Get collaborators, get people that maybe aren't going to be day-to-day part of the company, but are going to help you out when you need a director for a commercial, or maybe has an idea for something. But just get a tribe together. You'll probably have an inner tribe and an outer tribe, whatever, but get the serious folks together, form a company like we did. And then what's the next step? What's the next step? What do we do after that?
Oh, I have an interesting question regarding that. I would say the next step is free work, but I know that it's a very controversial topic. What do you guys think about that? I have a pretty clear opinion, but I go last.
Wants to tackle?
So sorry again, what was the
Free work. Yeah. So
free work?
In the
Yeah.
beginning,
Pause so I can cut.
What do you mean by free work?
Working for free.
Oh,
all right. So I'll take a stab. I mean, we are doing it. I mean, we are doing something more. It's not even free. It's completely spec work. So trying to build our portfolio. What we did is we took our collective work that we've done individually and built a reel out of works that we've already done. And now we are building total speculative commercials. And we just finished our first spec commercial for Doolins, which incidentally, we kind of have a contact with there, showed it to them. They liked it, and hopefully they're going to show it and promote it. And that's the kind of things that you need to do. And so I think free work is you need to do it until you get enough portfolio together and you can show the work, but you can't do it forever. At some point, you are what you charge for something. If you're going to be really cheap, then maybe you're cheap work. I don't know.
yeah, especially in art, I guess, like you are what you charge. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there was a friend one that told me that people start getting you more serious once you give them a prize. And I think by that, what he was meaning is that doing things for free, it's not a bad thing. And I totally agree to do this, especially if you are starting something. Again, this applies, for my opinion, for almost everything, not just filmmaking, but for any kind of art, even a job. So doing it for free, it's not a bad thing. Actually, maybe it can be also benefits for you because you can learn and have opportunity to be in a position where it's hard to start if you don't have the experience. But I think at some point you just have to just say no and ask for money because, again, I think people also really start getting you serious.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
I agree with your standpoint. I have a pretty clear stance on that. In my opinion, there's not many times where you do it completely for free because you always get something back from the project. And you just have to ask yourself, what are you getting back? Why are you doing this? So I think if you really want to have a specific type of film in your portfolio, you should just do it completely for free, do it once, and then take this work and try to pitch it to different companies and tell them, I did this, I can do the same for you. But also in addition to that, I would say that most of the time you also get paid in another currency, but money. You get paid with, I don't know, you can say, I do it for free, but I only shoot it on film. I want to learn how to shoot on film. So you just shoot it on film. And what you get back is the learning experience of shooting on film. So I think you just got to make sure that it's a win-win for both parties and you don't do it like once. I wouldn't expect a company to hire me once I work for free for them. So it's like a one-time thing. And after that, you got to pay me or we're not working together anymore, I would say.
Yeah.
That's at least my standpoint.
100% agree. Yeah, I think that's a good point is to evaluate what you're getting out of that. And like, I think for us, it's, all the spec commercials we're doing, we get essentially a portfolio of actual commercials for big companies, especially if they feature it, if they show it on their website or something. I think that's almost validation that they like the work that we did, and we could always use that to pitch, future customers. And I think it's cool. It kind of gives you an opportunity to also work on something like, commercials obviously are usually, created by an agency, an ad agency, come to a production company to actually just film what they want. They hire a director, whatever. So it's the first time where you get to do the full bit. Like we get to come up with the creative, we get to shoot the thing and deliver the thing. And so it's kind of cool because we get to pick the sort of projects we want, or if we have this vision of, somebody carrying a bike upstairs or whatever it is, like you can now work that into a commercial. So I think that's super cool. And of course you don't want to do it forever, but I mean, if I can make a feature for free, I'll put all my sweat equity into that. But for commercials and stuff, for us, just trying to keep the lights on. Like, what can we do enough to keep the momentum going, to get Ervis on full time, Renji on full time, get us all some kind of a paycheck to continue, working together and building films.
Yeah, that's something you usually don't think about when you contemplate. Okay, I wanna try my hands on like doing some filmmaking. You're not thinking about the commercial aspects of it because you are really passionate about it. But then at some point, you really have to face the reality that you need money to survive. You need, as an artist, you need to put a price on your work, and you need to actually do things so that you can actually ask for that price. And I think it's a really hard thing to do because unlike traditional careers, like where you have a set salary, you work this many hours a day, but how do you put price on being a director? Like, what makes your work more worth than the other person? Like, it's very difficult to. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. But how would you what do you think about that? Like, how do people usually go about that? Is it the industry setting the price?
Yeah, I think prices and pressure are coming. It's getting pretty bad now. But this is why, hey, we're going to go to the director that makes the best auto commercials. This is how you get pigeonholed. You make something neat and cool and creative, and then everybody wants a piece of that because, brands want something original. They want something creative. They want something that's going to, get eyeballs. And so, hey, if you're making these innovative AI films, somebody's going to come to you for that. If you're, known for doing, these crazy underwater stuff, maybe they'll come to you when they want underwater things. So I think that's how that specialization happens, but it doesn't mean that that's all you do. But to your point, I think it's just, creative. And this is why I think getting the opportunity to create something that is creative and looks cool, and hopefully somebody sees and sees some value with what you're doing. It's not just a commercial. It's a certain angle on the brand. Like for DoLens, our whole thing was this lens is this inexpensive lens with it punches so high above its weight. It's almost like having a Cook lens. It just looks so beautiful. Even when we compared it with the SP3s, the Cook SP3s, we love the lens. We like it even better than the Cook SP3s. It just has this amazing, cool vintage look. And yet it's just, it's just a cheap lens, people would say. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to come at this angle that, look, it's not, every cinematographer is looking for the perfect lens, right? They're looking everywhere. They might be some old USSR lens. It might be, some cheap Canon lens from the 70s, whatever it is. Everybody's looking for some new creative thing. And here we have this cool lens. And so, we create a commercial that really paints it as, it's not about the cost. It's not about the look, really about the emotion. It's like the emotion that you get from seeing images come through that lens. And so this is how we framed it. So we created this whole little campaign on this, which we think is differentiated from any of the other lens manufacturers in that price range. And hopefully they like it. Hopefully audiences will like it and see that, hey, it's more than just the price. Just because it's an inexpensive lens doesn't mean that it's not an important filmmaking tool.
Yeah. I also think it's super interesting. For me, it's the first company I'm ever a part of. And I think we are in a very privileged position right now that we have this investor money because we're going to build the production system and stuff like that. We have the time to build everything on the side. I'm really wondering what I would do if I wouldn't have any money, to just live off for a couple of months at least. Because I realized it all takes a bit longer than I expected, We have 5 or 6 different spec works coming up right now, but everything is cooking up for ages. From the first meeting to getting the people together, to getting the concepts, meeting for all the different ideas that we have to bring them on paper. That easily can take 3 months from the developing phase to actual shooting. And then I also broke my foot, which doesn't help. So I think in 3 weeks, we're going to shoot a lot of different commercials at once. And we have the most stressful time of the company yet. But I'm really looking forward to that. But my point was a bit it's going to take longer than you think in the beginning to get the company off the ground. Unless you build it on the side already. Before.
100%. Yeah, I think it's pretty critical to think that, like, look, even if you can't start a company, what can you do towards that? Can you make spec commercials on the side?
Yeah.
Can you keep going? The other thing I think that this is kind of a valuable thing is, like, for us to be successful, I believe, is that we need to be super efficient. We need to be able to shoot less days. Like, if we're going to make a feature here and we're going to make it successful, it should have highest production value and the lowest cost. And it should just be entertaining and stuff like that. And so I think the work that we do now, hopefully, is going to make us faster at turnaround time, not necessarily slower. And I also think, this is one of the reasons why I think we're very into doing this production management software, is because, like, we've tried all this stuff and it sucks. It's like, you're using Milanote for some things, you try Studio Binder, you try Yamdu, you try all these other things. And sometimes the tools just get in your way. And so I think, again, coming to scratch our own itch, it's like, I hope that this tool that we're building just makes that so much faster so that we could coordinate and collaborate faster and, get good at turning around commercials fast, and then apply that to turning around a feature fast, because every day that we can cut from shooting is, it's just less budget. And the lower the budget, less risk it is for somebody to distribute it and market it. And I mean, that's the theory. So who knows? As all things, it's our assumptions, but
but
hopefully.
Especially with, like, tools like Unreal Engine coming up now, you can do previs on your computer.
Yeah.
Like, you can check how it looks like. You don't need to overshoot. I feel like we shot a Red Bloom, a medium length film, like, I don't know, a year ago or something like that. It was our first bigger project, and we overshoot as hell. Like, we did way too many shots, and half of it we didn't even need, but it was just like security for us, But if you have a pre-visualization, wow, that's a hard word, then you know how it's going to look, and you can shoot what you need and not go for coverage so much, as you said earlier.
And shoot only what you need. Also, you can put more attention to what you are shooting instead of spreading yourself thin for like 14 hours. Instead of that, you can shoot less and concentrate more on, like, the quality of each shot, which was like really a big problem in Red Bloom, because we had to cover a lot of angles, a lot of locations in the same day for 14 hours, which is very tiring.
And also, the more takes you have, the more can go wrong towards continuity,
Yeah.
And we all know how goddamn annoying continuity can be.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Somebody needs to tell that to David Fincher. Guy takes like 50 takes or something.
Yeah, or 70,
I
80.
think that's too much.
Yeah.
But why,
I know. That's his secret sauce.
I don't want to be on a set, no offense, but I think that's extremely tiring.
Should invite him on podcast and ask him why he's doing 50 takes.
Would be amazing.
It's
David
crazy.
Fincher, if you're watching that, please come here.
We have a question.
Out of all the hundreds of podcasts begging you, come to ours instead first.
Yes.
Thanks, please.
And also, why you delete the first and the last take? Because she does 15 takes, let's say, or 30 or whatever, and then she goes and asks the AC to delete the first
and
the last one. Yeah.
Sometimes the first is the best one.
Sometimes the last one is the best one.
It's usually either
But
the
you
first
don't-
or the last one.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not something in between.
Because it's the first one, and it's like, the actors just are trying something, like they just went there, they trying, so it's like something very natural. And then it's the last one, from my opinion, also good, because like they already did it so many times that they got all the details, elements, so they just gave the 100% of the acting. And why you delete that? Like, I think feels almost like not fair for the actors. But anyway, I think every director, every artist has his own way of working. So
Yeah, for sure. I think what other tips can we share with trying to take your passion in filmmaking and turn it into a career? You guys have any other tips?
Well, I mean, we're still in the process, of course, but I would say one step at a time. Just think of what you can do next from your position right now and start with that. If it's making a film on the weekend, just practicing by yourself in your bedroom, or if it's going to a local filmmaking meetup, which I can't emphasize enough because that changed like everything for me. Just take the next step.
Yeah, or even start a local film meetup if there isn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also say reach out to people on Instagram or social media. Like if you see someone who's doing cool stuff in your city, and reach out to them. You can talk about your experience reaching out to forgot his name.
Nikita?
Yeah, Nikita.
It was really cool. That's like another tip. I would say start our own YouTube channel and just get yourself out there. My approach to this is that I like to create win-win situations ideally. So there was this amazing cinematographer that is like 10 levels above me called Nikita Katsarevich, and he's shooting just commercials on the highest level. I'm very impressed by his work, and I was following him for a long time and joined his Patreon to just learn from him because he has amazing guides. So just gonna check that guy out. He's called Blackside DP on Instagram and Telegram. Join his community, and he's making all this lighting breakdowns, and I really, really wanted to have a YouTube video with him, just like breaking down a project together with him and learn from his experience. So I was part of his Patreon, of course. That was like the first touching point. And then later, I just wrote him in a Telegram direct message and asked him if he wants to join my YouTube channel show, which is like about analyzing lights and just showing some behind the scenes stuff of his work. And of course he said yes, because it just makes sense that he can like advertise his community, and it's a classic win-win situation. So we got in contact, we made the video, and unfortunately we could never release it because the director didn't approve it yet. He hasn't answered. Hopefully I can upload it one day. But we also met in Berlin like 2 weeks later, just connected, and I ended up being on a Mercedes-Benz shoot in front of a huge LED wall in LED Cave here in Berlin, which is like a virtual production studio. And that was my first experience on such a high budget shoot, even though everyone said it wasn't high budget, but for me it was pretty high budget, I think. At least it had amazing set design, like huge New York style hotel that they built there with like a car in front of it. Looked super, super nice. And yeah, it all happened literally because I was reaching out to that guy on Telegram. So highly recommend just reaching out to people from your area and try to connect with them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you also had some other good advice. It's don't get stuck learning. Like, don't get in this learning loop, figuring out that, hey, every YouTube video that I watch, I'm getting better. I keep watching it. It's valuable. So important just to get out there and make something. I mean, don't wait for the right camera. Don't wait for the special this or the special that. Just go out, take your phone, whatever you got. It's so important to make something. And this is what I learned when I first started. I was part of this group called Group 101 in San Francisco. And this was this is right when, digital video kind of came out. So it was mini DV and, like little camcorders and stuff. And the goal was to make one short film every 30 days. So it's kind of, now it's pretty commonplace to do these sprints, but back then there was nothing like this. And the whole thing was like, inertia is expensive. Film is cheap, or video is cheap. So just go out and make something. And now you have the cheapest thing ever. It's just like your phone. Go out and make something. And you're just going to learn so much more than just sitting and watching a YouTube video. Go make 5 little short films, come back and then see like what you don't like, and then maybe do some research on it. But yeah, don't wait. I think that's a big thing. And, I have this tendency too. I'm like a bit of a perfectionist. I'm always like, want the best ideal conditions. But I think this is one thing I like about you, Tom, is it's just like, go. Like, let's just do it, get it done. It's more important to get something done than to just be thinking like someday I'll get it done. It's better to just be done and then move on. I think that's a pretty valuable tip.
But I would also say it's an ongoing struggle. Like, we all deal with procrastination, and it's easier to watch a YouTube video sometimes than to, like start shooting in your own room.
Yeah.
Trying to find the good angles, which is also like a little bit of a tip. I would say, guys, just get a diopter really quick, as early as possible in your career. Because if your apartment is small, like mine, it can be quite hard to find frames that are not super busy. And if you can go a bit more close up, it usually looks more clean, faster. And then you can find the little corners in your apartment and make a little bit of a challenge out of that. that actually look nice, and shoot them. There's more beautiful things in your apartment than you imagine, I would say. I found some really cool angles at my apartment, which I wouldn't have thought that I would find them.
Yeah, and I would also say, like YouTube is great. There is endless videos about filmmaking and tips and tricks and doing crazy stuff. But sometimes I also feel jaded after watching like tons of them, because it's just like, okay, all my energy has gone watching and consuming this content, where I should have been actually trying to do something. Because after you watch 10 of them, you're like, okay, all of these people are very creative. I'm not. Like, you can also feel very insecure because there is too much content out there. So like, if you really want to make something, I don't think like watching endless YouTube videos is going to help you, but it feels easier. Oh, I will watch one more tutorial. I will watch one more camera breakdown. I will watch one more camera review, because it's endless. And it can get tiring really fast. And it's also easier to just watch it, especially it's in short form on Instagram or TikTok. So yeah, at some point, really do something.
Do you want to be a creator or do you want to be a consumer? That's kind of what it is. But the other thing I will say is there are a boatload of uninformed opinions on YouTube. Like you're going to see stuff, people tell you stuff that's just flat wrong. And like screenwriting has been like this forever. All these famous books, like, something about a cat, like it's just horseshit. It's like people selling you something and you have to be so critical about it that maybe you don't believe everything that you hear, taking it in under assessment, but try things out yourself. And, the internet, that's the one thing I think today, it's just full of just uninformed opinion. It's like, not only is it an opinion, but it's completely uninformed with no real hands-on experience. I'd rather read book by an actual working screenwriter than read books by a screenwriter guru or coach or script fixer or whatever. Like, no, if you made a movie that I've seen and it made a couple of TV shows, okay, I think I'll take your advice over something else. And those people are accessible. I mean, they're so accessible because they're online. They have social media, and they're often just giving this stuff away for free. It's like, when somebody's trying to sell you the seminar or coaching or whatever, that's where I get a little dubious. So that's the other thing I'll say. So just create. You're going to be far better learning by creating than you are just consuming the whole time.
I would agree that you can find a lot of creative YouTube channels there that really you can learn from them. I would say one of them for me, like personally, was Studio Biden. I think a lot of new filmmakers or people who are looking on YouTube to find something about filmmaking. It's a very good YouTube channel. But yeah, I will agree with you guys that yes, you can learn, and yes, you can get ideas, or you can learn the craft, or this how to shoot your movie in 24 hours or whatever. All these tutorials, they are good, but the best is you just make your own. You go outside and you shoot. That's the way, I think, in the end. And I like when you said that, like Renji, that you said that, like you sometimes can watch these professional people being on set and working in such a high level skill or budget of everything, and then this like sometimes can make you feel also like, how I'm going to make that. Like I had this period when I was looking at these videos from Christopher Nolan sets, and it's insane the amount of money, the people, the cast, everything is so big. And I was like, I'm not going to make that. Because I can't. 3 years ago, I didn't even have my first short film, and I was looking at a video how Christopher Nolan did Inception. So what I want to say is that it's good also like to not take it a little bit too serious or compare yourself with these people, because it will make you feel down, and which is totally normal also, right? Because these people are professionals on this business for like more than 20-30 years.
Yeah, I feel like comparing yourself can be really, really toxic and dangerous.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, for example, one of my favorite creators on YouTube, as you probably all know by now, is Gox. And whenever I just watch a video of that one guy that is just doing everything himself with the camera and a lot of practice and a lot of knowledge, I'm just blown away what you can achieve with like one camera and one guy, you know? And then it's sometimes also the opposite. Sometimes I just need to watch like one Gawk's video and I just want to go out and shoot, and I do it next day, you know? This is like, I was shooting like a YouTube video for my channel once where I just like went out and did some 4x3 impressions like everyone is doing right now because of Gawk's, and just shot a little bit of like Berlin and tried to find good frames, and super fun. Did it together with Ranjit. Was a fun day in the sun in spring. So yeah, it can be also the opposite. Sometimes you just need to watch one video and go out and shoot.
Yeah, videos for inspiration.
Yeah,
but just don't get into a trap.
Yeah,
lulled into just watching and feeling like, hey, I am making progress.
Okay, one last topic. I have a little bit of a strong opinion regarding that, but what do you guys think? How much does it matter to watch movies when you want to make movies? Because I'm just giving like the example really quick in the beginning. I was a musician, or I am still a musician for a long time, and no one in the music bubble would ever say, when I like listen to like 2,000 songs, I write better songs. It's completely separated, almost completely. Of course, you need inspirations. You need to listen to music to know what you can try and copy music and stuff like that. But no one would ever say, just because I'm listening to music, I'm a good musician. But in filmmaking, I see this a lot, that people just watch like a million movies. They are the craziest movie nerds ever. And then they expect to be good at filmmaking without practicing. And I'm a bit annoyed by that, to be honest.
I'll go last on this one.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
I have a very strong hot take.
Yes, a strong counter opinion. Yeah.
Okay, then I will start. I don't have a strong opinion on that. I just believe that just watching films or I don't know, like watching YouTube videos that we was just talking about, it won't make you a good director or good cinematographer or an actor, a good actor. I mean, looking a very professional person doing something, you already understand, or you get unconsciously, you get something, right? Like, it doesn't need so much. This is a human behavior. Like, once you see someone doing something, you automatically copy that. So if you're watching someone who is good on that, you copy something good. But I think in the end, it's also like how much of effort, how vigilant you are on what you are watching, and just by doing it, I think it's the best way also, not just watching. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that you can't make progress by watching, but then I think you need to watch analytically, and you have to like make scene breakdowns and see how they actually did it. I don't think you can just watch a movie and expect to get better from that.
No, wait, you mean that just watching the film? Because if you're watching the film just as an audience, I think still you get something, because I would say also that the audience now, it's 10 times better than a director that was 70 years ago. The knowledge that the audience has right now, like a normal person who goes in the cinema once in a month or once every 2 months, his knowledge on filmmaking, like his storytelling experience, is 10 times better than a director 70 years ago. Why? Because we have been so much like, watching movies and being around the cinema that it unconsciously again have make us better. So by watching already gives you something, yes. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Curious to see or to hear what you guys are thinking.
I mean, I like watching movies in two ways. One where I turn off my brain and watch it as a audience, and I just try to feel the story. I don't analyze anything, but I don't think that helps me with anything when it comes to actually making a movie, because I really need to go back and like pay attention. Really watch it analytically, saying, okay, in this particular scenario, to convey this emotion, they did this. I mean, at least that is how my brain works. So if I'm just watching it as an audience, like a normal person, not as a filmmaker, I would like to just forget about all of that and don't pay attention to, oh, look at that color grade, or look at what lens they used, or look at the flare or whatever. Just watch it and enjoy it, and leave it at that. But like I'm going to be a DOP for like a teenage drama, so so I'm right now watching all the coming of age movies and seeing like what are the tropes they usually use. I think you can learn something from it, like because you can only tell so many stories. So what is the prior art in that area? And I'm not particularly enjoying all the movies I'm watching as part of this homework, but still I'm like, okay, typically this is how people showcase these emotions, and or like usually the color grade, or like the color would be like very bright and like very airy for these kind of movies. Like these are kind of tropes that you can understand, and you can decide if you want to like lean towards that or away from that. But I agree, just watching a movie every day I don't think will make you a better filmmaker, because it needs hard work, and you need to like really, it's a exercise in detail. So like when you actually try to make something, you need to pay attention to a lot of detail, and I don't think that you will gain that experience just by watching.
It's like, it's also a little bit like being an athlete, right? Like just watching people running doesn't mean that it will make you a better runner, right? You have to go on the field and run. So it's, I think, kind of similar with filmmaking. You have to be on the set to see how you solve problems, where to put the camera, and so on. So
All right, I'm going to 100% disagree with all of you guys, at least on part of what you're saying. First of all, I think watching films does make you a better filmmaker, and here's why. Especially if you're a director or writer. A, you are creating, neuron paths in your brain. Every time you see something you like, something you don't like, you're learning about pacing. Like when you watch films, you get a sense of it's a slow movie, it's a long movie. You get a sense of like cut. Now, does that translate directly to, hey, I've watched a movie, now I know how to edit a film? No. But it's going to develop taste. It's going to develop something that when I see something I did, something's wrong with it. Maybe I don't know what's wrong with it, but at least I've watched enough movies to know if this is something normal or if it's abnormal, if it's not. So I think first and foremost, hugely, hugely wrong that I think watching a lot of films does trigger taste and does trigger some kind of maybe subconscious ability to like kind of, you'll know when you see it if it's good and if it's bad. So I think that's the most important thing, is like being able to watch something and know like, oh, this looks right or this doesn't. And I think you only get that by watching films. Number two, I think that if you don't have a history of watching movies, you don't really have that innate grasp of the cinematic language. There is a cinematic language. It's different than music because we're like audio and visual are happening. And so I don't think it's fair to kind of equate just to music. Also, I think music is a little bit more complex because it's audio. And I think certain people have the ability to hear the different pitches and things like that. But for film, because you have both, and I think we're so strong visually that it's kind of a language I think anybody can understand by seeing it. And even if you look at early films, until like whatever Eisenstein, they didn't do any cuts, right? Like, and then somebody made cuts, and then like they really started to get these emotions. So we've learned a lot by somebody innovating and experimenting, and then the visual language of cinema. Now, I do agree that there is another level, and that's the analysis level. And so Frank Daniels, who's probably the best screenwriting teacher ever, and David Lynch said was the only teacher in class he ever had in all of his film school that he gave a damn about. Everything else he thought was stupid was by Frank Daniels. And what he did is every day they had class, they'd watch a film and they'd break it down. And he came up with a sequence method where he said that every film is broken into sequences. There's like 8 to 10, depending on what it is, mini movies that happen in there. And by analyzing That's where you take it to the next level. So are you going to know how to operate a camera by watching a movie? No. Are you going to know how to edit and cut and like on DaVinci Resolve, I can do an L cut because I watched it? No. But those are skills you can learn. But I think the most important thing for any filmmaker and art in general is the taste of it all. Can I make something that is pleasing? And I think your brain is getting triggered by all the things that you've watched and seen and heard to decide, hey, I like this, I don't like this. And so that's developing your own taste. And so that's why I think it's important. And then maybe one last thing is like, we talked about tropes. We talked about maybe there's Easter eggs and something, but like I asked you once if you ever watch this movie, say anything, but there's been like a zillion movies that had somebody holding a speaker out a window trying to get a girl. And if you never saw that movie, you'll never understand where that came from. Or if you did something that was very prominent in another movie and you didn't know it because you never saw it, but it's just by chance you happen to duplicate this kind of effect, then people think that you're kind of ripping it off. And so I think it's kind of important because you also, I think Tarantino, I don't know, borrows a lot. There's a saying, like great artists steal or whatever. But look, I think that just gives you a lot of inspiration, a lot of ideas, and really helps you form that taste, helps you not, rip somebody off unintentionally. Also lets you put those little Easter eggs and things in there. So I think it's twofold. Yes, watching movies as an audience, definitely 100% is building your subconscious. And number two, I think you do have to go the analytic route. So I think like watching a movie multiple times and then breaking it down by scene is very valuable. So that's my hot take on it. Sorry if I offended anybody.
No, I feel like it's almost the same as our position.
I'm very curious to hear Tom's opinion right now.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think I agree. I was just like seeing inspiration separately a bit. I would agree that watching movies is definitely helpful when you're cutting a movie to decide if it's good or not. And if you're a director, it's even more important, I would say. As a cinematographer, you can always just, ask the director for like 5 movies that they have in mind, watch them, and then you have the kind of the style in mind. But as a director, you got to develop your own taste even more, I would say.
I still disagree. I still think there's just, you got to watch other cinematographers where like, when it comes to moving the camera and stuff, I mean, sure, they'll give you because you're trying to, serve the director. But yeah, I think cinematography also should be a deep level of experience with cinema, past and present, because
of course. I mean,
we're still, people are still shooting on film as like, video was supposed to take, like, why shoot on film? Video is so much easier, but we're still shooting on it because for some reason. So
I kind of agree. Like I'm in my head, it's just like, it's not 50-50. For me, it's more like the hard work you have to put in is just weights more. I don't know how to say that. For me, it's 80-20. It's like 20% inspiration and taste and 80% just hard work and trying to get the skills to a high level. Because getting the skill in editing to a high level, getting the skill in cinematography to a high level, understanding lighting, understanding audio, that is like so much harder than watching 10 movies and developing some taste,
Yeah. But I think
that's why the feeling is coming from this imbalance almost of hard work that you need to put in by watching movies and that you need to put in by creating a movie. It just feels so much harder to create a movie.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I think for like a writer director that it's way more than 20%.
Yeah.
I think it's much stronger.
Yeah, but
sense. I think also as a cinematographer, just looking at, the framing, the color, like even looking at old vintage movies, like I think there's a lot to be learned from sort of, because now I think with the tools we have, we're not just shooting on certain Kodak stock. We're like manipulating the colors and we have so much control over the final grade that, looking through the history and seeing, what kind of an emotion that a very warm tone gave with this grainy, with some, aberrations, like what did that give, or shooting anamorphic and stuff. And I think you only get that by kind of you could certainly shoot it, but by watching it and seeing how it was applied and kind of feeling how that makes you feel, I think also helps. So.
Okay. And with that, I guess that was this episode. We're coming to an end. Thanks for listening. Once again, please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you're still listening to that right now.
Don't subscribe. Just watch the whole thing. Please, just watch it all.
And I would say we see or hear each other next week.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.